So, when I speak about black folks getting reparations in Oklahoma, there's a lot to it. It's definitely a situation that resulted from the 5 civilized tribes owning slaves. So the black folks who were given the acreage because they were slaves. You know, they got land because they were former slaves of the tribes. But it's a little bit tricky. These black folks were not necessarily given land because they wanted to be recognized, so to say, or because their efforts wanted to be recognized, or their bondage, their injustice wanted to be recognized. It was more of the federal government wanting to punish the 5 civilized tribes for fighting with the South during the Civil War. And so the treaties that were done once the Civil War was over between the 5 civilized tribes in the United States said that they had to integrate their former slaves into the tribe and give them full citizenship. Now, this definitely did not happen. So when I speak about black folks getting reparations in Oklahoma, it's not to say that, hey, black folks were paid back or they were recognized for the injustice that they faced. A big part of it was also that the United States did not want to be responsible for these former slaves of the 5 civilized tribes. The former slaves of the tribes were neither citizens of the United States or citizens of the tribes that they were slaves of. And so I don't say that black folks got reparations in Oklahoma to put it out there that they were paid back for slavery. You know, it's a little tricky, and it goes way deep. And so again, in Oklahoma, we had about 70 historically black towns at one point in time. These black towns were in the Indian nations: the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Seminole, and Creek nations. You know, it's very unique. It's a unique situation. You can look at these roles. A big part of it was the fact that the native land that was set aside for the tribes, set aside in Oklahoma, was being broken up and allotted individually to the Native American people because they, meaning the government, they wanted to gain access to these lands and offer it to non-native citizens. And so basically, you know, white folks, they wanted to give the land to white folks. You know, the national sentiment that prevailed back in those times was that the key to the American dream is through land ownership. So it was a big struggle over the land, and they just couldn't leave these former slaves out with nothing. So it's not that they wanted to give black folks acreage. It's just that they almost had no choice, because it just would have been way too obvious, and you would have had these former slaves of the tribe. They would have been complete aliens within the United States, again, because they were not citizens of the United States or citizens of the tribes. One great book you can check out is Chickasaw Freedmen, A People Without a Country. And it talks about how people, black folks where I'm from, in and around Tatum, you know, in the Chickasaw Nation, they were not citizens of the United States or of the Chickasaw Nation from 1866, the time that slavery ended, until 1906, when Oklahoma was put together as an official state. And so my people were aliens, basically, for 40 years. But we did it. We made it happen. And I'll tell you more about that in the next part.